job placement and job development within the rehab roles. And I say that because the rules dictate on billable files how many weeks of job development is allowed, so you can't just bill for making phone calls to employers for on and on and on and on. You have to make sure you're showing progress, and at some point you have to, after 13 weeks, the insurer has to say, yes, we're approving more, or otherwise you can do it and not get paid. So they also have to follow some rules with that. The QRC oversees the placement coordinators, and that's ultimately their responsibility. The placement coordinators, the one we have at St. Cloud, serves how many QRCs? 4. It's been switching a little bit, but
3 right now.
3 right
but
now.
Huge territory.
So our placement coordinator basically covers from St. Cloud to Canada. So she is on the road a lot. All she does is job placement. So it's nice to have someone that's strictly an expert in that field. And this is a typical day for the placement coordinator. They also attend client meetings. We will attend client meetings with the placement coordinator as a QRC with the employee every so often, and they also can meet with them on their own if they need to. They help with some of our vocational testing. They will discuss job search with the clients and discuss pre-job search. So sometimes the clients aren't ready to go into a job search right away. They may need help developing a resume. They may need help practice interviewing and things like that. So we'll do those steps first before we commit them to being responsible for job searching. They provide job seeking skills training, teaching the employee effective ways to look for work. They provide one-on-one job search support with the employees. They are responsible to stay up to date on the labor market information, what kind of jobs are available, what employers are hiring, things like that, and that will change from area to area throughout the state. And they also are required to do report writing and documentation. Skills needed to be a successful QRC or placement coordinator, good counseling skills. Like Bob said, a lot of times the employees and the clients could be a little distraught about situations. They're in a very frustrating spot in their lives, and so that's very important. Good written and oral communication. You're communicating with a lot of parties. You also need to make sure that your communication and your written communication is very neat and concise, because it could go to court and you have to stand behind it.
Parties who see your stuff are the insurance claim rep, the attorney for the claim for the insurance company, the attorney for the employee, the workers' compensation judges. And that can be just regular court. It can go up to the Court of Appeals or Supreme Court if necessary. So you've got to really be a good writer, write objectively, neutrally, to not create wrong perceptions on those other parties, because it could come back to haunt you. So develop your writing skills. It's going to pay off.
Self-confidence. You want the employees and the parties to be confident in you. You also need to be confident if you do have to go and testify and things like that. Ability to prioritize workload. You oftentimes have many different things going on. You may have 20 different clients, and each client is in a different spot in the rehab plan, and different things are going on. So sometimes you may be working on something and get a phone call from a client and say, this happened, and you have to drop everything you're doing and prioritize. You have to be flexible, and I guess in time, because sometimes employers say, I can't meet with you until 3 o'clock, and I live in Sturgeon Lake, and so we have to adjust our schedules to work with them so that we can meet them. Again, flexibility once you need to just
you have to be able to go roll with the flow.
Yes.
Yeah, because stuff pops up and it's like you've got to do it, you got to be there. But it's not like it's awful.
No.
You just
No.
have to,
No.
no. I think you can put limits on it, but you got to still be.
I think that comes a little more into play with the private sector when you're relying on those billable hours, and you know, if there's an appointment that you need to be at, I mean, obviously we would go to the important appointments too, but it might be real important to them at that point. Good understanding of medical conditions and different types of jobs. That's what you do all day. So And a lot of these things you will learn in school and in your internship. You learn a ton once you just start doing it. Why I like working for the VRU, or we like working for the VRU. We make a difference in clients' lives, or at least we hope we do. A lot of times we can get them into a new job and that they never thought they would be able to do. And it's kind of nice to see that.
An example of that is, I'm working with some, 3 different males, and they're each about 50 years old, and one's 30-something. Not real verbal and are intimidated by doctors. And I go to appointments with them, and it's just funny because these last 3 cases all have thanked me for being there, because the doctor finally talked, whereas they wouldn't talk to him much before. And just being able to clarify things for the patient and my client, and to ask the doctor from my perspective, because I know things are going to be coming up in the near future, that never would have been discussed if I wasn't there. And so you kind of feel good about that when they thank you and they think you've done some good.
Or when they're unable to go back to their job that they've had for 30 years and don't know what they're going to do. It's nice to be able to help people.
It's scary.
Yeah. Cases are challenging. They're always different. No 2 cases are ever alike. It's nice to have this support team and the staff with the VRU and so many people to ask and confer, and the leads, of course. Working for the state, you have good benefits. You have good health and dental benefits, vacation and sick leave. This state will pay for us to go to like the MRA conference if it's approved. We have so many funds we can use for things like that.
And the 100 continuing ed credits, if you're in the private sector, do you have to pay for your own?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they can be expensive.
They can be very expensive, and so ours are covered.
They're covered, and a lot of times, if it's during the day or during our work hours, we're not losing the billable hours that we would be required to do. In the private sector, if you go to MRA for 2 days, that's 2 days you're not billing. So that's kind of another benefit of being with the state. And then the salary ranges are posted. Yep.
I'm not sure how to phrase this exactly, but because I understand that the scope of work is a little different, but is there anything you could give me to help me understand the difference between like working in VRS as a counselor and then working as a QRC?
I've never worked for DRS.
So is it just, are we talking 2 completely different worlds, so there's nothing the same? Okay.
Basically,
Okay.
basically, yes.
We
yes.
only work with individuals with work comp plans, and that is.
The one thing that I know DRS works with a lot more than we do is people experiencing mental illness. And probably, at least in the holidays, a lot of, congenital conditions, developmental disabilities. We run into that rarely, but I think much of the caseload with the DEED Rehab Services program is just think non-work related, anything else that you know of that's out there, that's who they work with. But
So larger variety of clients with a different focus?
I don't
Their
know.
focus, I believe, from the little I know, because I'm not familiar with them that well either, is to help these individuals come up with a plan and help them get employment. We are also doing that, but we're only working with individuals on work comp. They're working with other individuals with any disability.
And I
Is
know
that
they
correct?
do work with Return to Work, Social Security, the Ticket to Work program, I think. The other rehab services program also delves into training and paying for school a lot more. And I think, a couple of times, the cases I've had with the DEEP program, that's one of the reasons why we've had a dual case where they would be able to provide those training funds. We couldn't.
Go ahead.
If I could, just one more question. So I'm trying to understand, why would why would the state pay for you guys to pick up when an insurance company is denying the claim? What about it? If you can help me
Our
understand,
job
I
is-
don't know anything about why insurance would deny
Yep,
the
okay,
claim.
so our job
That
is-
then you guys could pick up.
Yep, we as QRCs, the first part when an employee calls us or we get a referral, we do a rehabilitation consultation, and that's where we determine if they're eligible for services. So do they have work restrictions? Is their employer helping them return to work? Things like that. And that's part of the rehab rules in the law. If they're eligible for services, we can serve them, even if the insurer is not paying them at that time. Does that help at all?
I can add something. There was a major change in the workers' comp law in 1983, and that's when I came on board. Prior to that, the rehab counselors in the state, the non-work comp, deed rehab services program, they would handle workers' compensation cases. They didn't necessarily like that a lot. They would probably go to court a lot more than what they cared to go. But part of the law change was that you had to have this QRC certification to provide services. And so I started off, I think I spent the first 2 months in the main rehab services program. Then we split off at that time. And we remained working for that, what used to be the old DVR program. But then in about, 1991, 92, we were then moved over to Department of Labor and Industry. So we have been, the rehab counselors have been separate since 1983.
Why would insurance deny?
Oh, you name it. Big
Insurance
ones,
company.
pre-existing conditions.
Okay.
Somebody hurts their back lifting a 50-pound box at work. The first thing that the insurance, so first report of injury goes in, and is either completed by the injured employee or the employer. Goes into the insurance company. The insurance company's got 14 days to either accept the claim or deny the claims. So they start off by doing a telephone interview with the injured worker, gathering just basic information. Then they get signed medical releases, and they gather medical reports. So the claim rep will go through the medical report and say, oh, geez, 6 years ago, saw a chiropractor strain their back. Whoa, it's not the job to work injury that caused the problem. It was this bowling thing or whatever it was, old football injury in high school. So that's kind of a real common one. And I'm not saying that that's not legitimate, because there's a lot of people are coming to us that have had pre-existing conditions. What are some of the other reasons for denials? I mean, that's the biggest one right there.
Yeah, like you said, anything under the sun. There's a new thing about,
Oh, DICOT decision.
Yeah.
In the old days, I would be at work, carrying something or working in a factory. I'd walk and I just fall, okay? Usually, people are around you, they saw it, claim would be picked up. Well, for the last 2 years, this court case, the DICOT decision, I think it was at Supreme or Court of Appeals, said, nah, there has to be something on the floor to cause. So if there was a piece of wood on the floor, if there was a dip in the floor, if there was a ripple in the carpet, if there was an uneven surface getting out of an elevator that caused the fall, that could be compensable. If you make a statement to the insurance company, I tripped over my own feet, or I don't know why I fell, denial. So there's a lot of just legal maneuvering in there. But yeah, so DICOT and pre-existing condition, those are big ones.
And that's kind of why we at the VRU can serve them, because they get an attorney and the attorney says, no, this was due to work and they are eligible for these services. And the vocational experts are saying they're eligible for these services, so they fight it out. They ultimately, a lot of times will end up settling we will act as an intervener, and they will take a settlement, we will get paid a portion of what our bill is what often happens.
And our little unit was started off in 1983, to further answer your question, because the legislature did not want injured workers whose claims were denied and they weren't receiving any rehabilitation, to stop them from falling through the cracks. So they can get the same services that a person can get, well, not all of them, but 90% of them, that a person who is receiving work comp benefits would get. So we're kind of like the safety. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I know you mentioned earlier that it's required for the CRC, correct? And then
Correct.
it's 5 years?
Over 5 years, 100
Okay.
hours of continuing ed credits.
Okay, so that's something that I just wanted to reiterate with our program, that to take the CRC. There's some internship sites that you would not have to be required to, it wouldn't lead to CRC. You would have to take the CRC in order for you to be employed, but this is one of them. So, and I think that's like really important, because we educate our students on being CRC competent. But you'd be surprised how many employers don't really emphasize the CRC. So I'm just really glad that you highlight that. That's my bottom line.
Indeed, rehab program doesn't require a CRC
Nope.
either.
Right, which I think is a mistake. I think they really should.
Oh, I do
Yeah,
too.
I
Yeah.
do too. I just think it's so important. And then it kind of facilitates professional growth, because then you have to remain CRC eligible, and that professional development and getting your CEUs and just staying current with what's going on in our discipline. So I think it's a good thing, yeah.
Bob, I also want to make a comment before. You were talking about benefits. One of the things that I know about your office and other offices within VRU is you're very supportive. You're there for each other. People tend to work as a team. And I think that's very important, whatever site you look at, that you find a group of people that can support you and can be there for you when you have questions. I know you mentioned that in your presentation, but I think that's very important.
Yeah, when you're working with individuals with disabilities or injuries, every day you might see something new, and I'll say, Bob, have you seen this?
And I've been here a long time, and there's stuff still popping up,
Yeah.
and I've just never seen it in over 30 years. And you talk about it.
Yeah, that's very nice to have.
Problem solved, yeah.
Oh, another question. What about interns? Do you take interns? We have one right here.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. At the last slide, Jeannie Vogel is our director, state director of our program. She would be the contact person should you be interested. And like I said, we have an office in St. Paul, St. Cloud, Duluth, Bemidji, Mankato, Rochester. It's unsure if we will be looking at taking an intern in the fall. It's too early to tell. If you're thinking about this, the metro unit would probably be a better direction to look at if you can. Rochester, possibly.
And sometimes those internships are paid, correct?
Yes, we pay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So students are always asking, so, and not everybody can offer that, so that's
It's only
important.
$68,000 a year.
I might be interested, yeah.
And Mike Hall in the Twin Cities, that office has taken interns before.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody's interested in that name, you might want to write his name down. He's had about 2 or 3 interns in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And how many have you had over your life?
I maybe had 10, but I was telling Kelsey this morning, I also have been an intern supervisor with our new employees. And
Oh, sure.
that's a whole year commitment to be the intern supervisor there. So that would probably be another 3. So.
Oh, wow, okay.
We do have some things up here if you're interested at all. One brochure about the VRU, and then another brochure about the work comp system.
Okay.
Otherwise, the website up there is a good resource as well.
Okay. And could they contact either of you two also?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
They don't know Jeannie, but if you
Yeah.
can do
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Any Any other questions?
Do you guys have any questions?